Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Paranormal Insight. It's your favorite paranormal investigator. My name is Tim Sudano, and today, back with us once again is Michelle Desrochers, returning guest. We're going to kind of pick up where we left off. Briefly, before I bring her on, I want to give a little love to Gene Hackman and his wife. They passed apparently from well, the running theory is carbon monoxide poisoning. That hasn't been officially established yet, but we want to give a little RIP to Gene, a big, and to his wife. Big thank you for a big, wonderful career that entertained us for decades. So, rest in peace, Gene and Mrs. Hackman. Actually, she went by a different name, but unfortunately, I don't have it in my notes. But you know who you are, and you out there know who she is. So, once again, rest in peace, everyone, to them. Whoops, there we go. And now let's bring Michelle on. Michelle, welcome to the show.
How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Great to be back. Full form, Looking forward to the topic.
To the what?
To the topic.
The topic. Yeah, our topic's pretty cool. We're talking about time slips, time travel. And we're also going to talk about some other very cool things like step-ins and all kinds of fun stuff. And big hello to a Taurus girl who reads, who's in our chat right now.
I love it. Hello. Yes. Hello. It's a great topic.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
It seems to be popular. I think people just have a really healthy curiosity when it comes to that, because there's so many people that believe that it can't be done, that we don't have the technology. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, I've had a couple of guests on the show over the years, and they have dropped some pretty amazing bombshells off the air with respect to the fact that, there are such things as jump rooms, and that there are a certain group of people who have access to them. And, so we have a lot of people say, nope, not possible. But there's a good, healthy amount of people going, oh, it's definitely possible. And they're well aware of them. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing to be able to do without a machine, without a piece of technology.
Yes.
That, it's a form of concentration or meditation sometimes. And I guess at one point, if you believe the time travelers out there who hop online saying, I'm a time traveler and here's my proof, look out for this on such and such a date. And then there's, oh gosh, Timon. Oh gosh, he had a weird name. He was like one of the first ones to hop online way back when the internet was brand new.
Yeah.
One more time.
And just vocalize that. That's a big thing back then, because that's sort of like taboo territory. But yet this stuff goes back to ancient times. There's actual accounts of time travel going back to ancient times. The Bible speaking of it, and old ancient texts going back to, like, let's say the 8th century. There's all kinds of stuff like this. Eric Van Daniken talked about it, right? The prophet Jeremiah.
Oh yeah, he did. Absolutely.
Right. Right. And then we're looking at these ancient texts about King Ravana, who was described, with traveling to the heavens to meet the creator Brahma and return hundreds of years, but into the future. And it didn't last very long.
Oh, yeah.
And he said when he returned, which was like something like 108, his years, but a yuga, so 108 yugas in his time represents 4 million years of ours.
How many?
4 million.
4 million years?
4 million years. Yeah. I know, right? So there's stories in the Quran that go back to time travel as well. This is really, really documented stuff, people falling asleep and they're gone, they come back like 300 years later.
Oh yeah.
So it's crazy, but this is
Well, that's
new.
the classic Einstein theory. You leave
Yeah.
going away at light speed.
Mm-hmm.
For you, it's a
Yeah.
year as when you come back, but for
Mm-hmm.
everyone else, it's 100 because
Yeah.
they
I
stayed
know.
within the time stream.
I know.
Fascinating
I know.
stuff.
Yeah, it is. You get into paradoxes and things like that, and
Hmm.
they're just Albert Einstein believed and stated that the past, present, and future all existed simultaneously. It's cool when you think about it, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that we're not really made privy to a lot of that information. But you know, I mean, time traveling. I think we
Yeah,
just need to look at the Philadelphia experiment for that.
that's yes. I mean, that's probably one of the first instances of mechanical time travel that I'm
Well,
aware of, unless you
yeah,
count H.G. Wells.
no, it's true. It's true. But Nikola Tesla helped with that technology while he
Yeah,
was still alive. So I don't know. Right?
I don't
It's
know.
interesting. So where do you
It
want to
is.
start? This is all this
Well,
goody.
let's talk about a well, what's first on your list, Liz? You're the guest.
Well,
Let's talk.
I mean, I think if you get, I love getting into stories, but I think to understand some of it, you have to get into these different paradoxes, like the grandfather paradox, which is essentially if you go back in time and kill your grandfather, for example, you're
Right.
essentially wiping yourself out. So, I think you start getting into these different paradoxes
Yeah.
of not being able to see yourself. What do you do? Like the bootstrap paradox, which is like an object or person or information was sent back in time and results in this loop. So there's no discernible origin, like
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Um,
Bootstrap's pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah, and
Classic.
when we talk about information, here's one that I don't know how many people know. You probably are aware, but George Lucas was said to have gone back in time to give his past self the scripts to Star Wars to secure his financial
Did
empire.
not. I rather I have heard of that
Uh,
theory. I
I
have heard of
know.
that.
I know, right? This is a big one that was going around. I'm like, see, that's that whole loop thing. That thing's just crazy, but was said to have hi Janie to do his thing there. So it's kind of like, so is this a thing?
Yeah.
So apparently it was, and he secured his future in writing this and in doing all of this, which was crazy.
Yeah.
But it is crazy. For example, a man going back in time, here's a hypothesis, having a liaison with a woman, returning months later only to have no idea that she was pregnant. Fast forward in time, the child grows up to be the traveler.
Mm.
We're looping again,
Yeah,
right?
that's the grandmother paradox, I
Yeah,
think.
right. Which
I
is
think it
kind
is
of
actually
cool.
called that, the grandmother paradox.
See, that to me is just it's incredible.
Yeah,
How about
that's amazing.
multiple universes?
Yeah.
So going with the grandfather paradox,
Mhm.
right? So if you kill him and you return back to current time and you don't exist, but your grandfather never had a son,
Right.
right? Who
So
gave
how
him
are you
you,
there?
right?
Yeah, you actually created. The theory
Yeah,
goes that you actually created a quantum schism.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, right.
it's
And
kind
let's
of like
talk
it's
about
like Back to the Future too.
yes, that's
It
right.
creates an alternate 1985.
I know. I'm sure that's happened all over the place. But let's get into the butterfly effect, also known as
Mm.
the chaos theory. Occurs
Hmm.
when trivial changes that you get made as we go along over long periods of time. Essentially, the timeline has been corrupted. So these paradoxes become unavoidable consequences of time travel. So enough to alter history. And the multiverse, of course, being many worlds. So I don't know. It gets really crazy. But I found a bunch whenever we want, we'll get there. But I found a bunch of different stories that I've done, in the past, because
Mm.
I've done shows on it and I love it. And I keep adding to them as I find new ones because it shows you there's stuff going on out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Are they
Uh,
military?
very true. There was you know what? Why don't you start us off with the most recent one while I do a quick piece of research?
Well, okay, you do that. I mean, as far as recent goes, I don't know. Like
How's
I've
that
kind
sound?
of got
Hello?
some that go into
Either
different
she went
times.
offline or I went offline. I'm not sure.
the Philadelphia experiment. Well, we've got
Okay.
the Philadelphia experiment. Why don't we talk about the Philadelphia experiment first, since we mentioned it?
Okay, let's do
Okay.
it.
So fact or fiction? So this happened allegedly around 1943. The main goal was to hide the USS Elbridge, which was a Navy destroyer class vessel, make it invisible to enemy radars, hence a cloaking device. Nikola Tesla was said to be involved, performing all the calculations, brilliant man, and also developing various designs. He was also said to have provided the necessary generators for this. So where does the time travel come into this? Well, the experiment went terribly wrong, as we know. The ship totally disappeared and got teleported to Norfolk, Virginia. When it appeared, some of the crew members were physically attached or fused at a molecular level to the hull of the ship, and other people ended up developing mental disorders. They were driven insane, caught on fire. Some disappeared completely, and they never found them again. Others, however, reported having traveled into the future. Some crew members reported a lot of strange things like walking through walls, and eventually reappeared in Philadelphia. So, of course, a lot of people think, well, this never even happened. It's like, okay, whatever, right? But,
Right.
right.
Mhm.
And then we get into a Seattle attorney. This 2004, I guess, is fairly recent in our
Let
time.
me pause you right there.
Yes.
There was
Okay.
a movie made about the Potemkin experiment, I'm sorry, I just called it the Potemkin experiment. That's not it. What was it called? The Philadelphia experiment. In
Yes.
fact, that was the title of the film. And it
Yes.
was done in like 1986, and they told that exact same story cinematically. And I think
Yeah.
it was done as a means to say, oh, you saw that in a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was a purposeful piece of
I,
misinformation out
I,
there, or
I think, yeah, Netflix or Amazon
propaganda.
has some new one too. And it may have been like the 80s things where they're kind of running around and they're trying to, the government just wants to blow up the boat. And this thing is a ship, not a boat. And the thing is popping
Right.
around. It's showing up in all these different places and they're trying to anticipate where it's going to go. Like
Oh,
it was pretty cool the way they did it because the effects were pretty awesome. But I mean,
right
it
on.
goes, stuff happens, right? Stuff happens.
Yeah, yeah.
So this attorney, we're going back to 2004.
Okay.
So an attorney named Andrew Basiago publicly claimed that since 2004, he was a part of Project Pegasus. Have you ever heard of that? Project Pegasus?
Project Pegasus. Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Right? He said that he stated from the ages of 7 to 12, he was part of a secret government program that worked on teleportation and time travel under the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency.
Which
So,
is DARPA.
yes, exactly. Okay. So they would train children and adults so they could test the mental and physical effects of time travel on children. Children allegedly have had a bit of an advantage over the adults with respects to adapting better to the strains of moving between the different time frames, like past, present, future.
Right.
He made the following claim. He claimed that he experienced 8 different time travel technologies during his time with the program, and it involved teleported based papers allegedly found, wait for it, in Nikola Tesla's New York City apartment after his death in January 1943. The machine consisted of 2 gray elliptical booms about 8 feet tall, separated by 10 feet, between a shimmering curtain of what Tesla called radiant energy. It had It had the capacity to bend time, basically. And Andrew claimed that the participants would jump through this field of radiant energy into a vortal tunnel, which, when closed, they found themselves at their destination. But he claims that he can be seen in a photo that he traveled back in time to, which was Gettysburg, amongst other places, while Abraham Lincoln gave his speech. And he always would dress in period clothing.
Tell me you have that photo.
I might. I don't know. 1 second. I'll dig now while you talk. Okay. 1 second. Let's
Okay.
see. Okay.
So,
let me see.
the guys, my story is from 1990s, early 2000s. when Timor, that's his name, John Timor, showed up out of Florida, and he hopped online, and he wasn't really looking to John Titor.
Yes. Yeah.
He wasn't looking to necessarily be famous, so he said, I had an opportunity to go back in time because in the future we developed this device, and it was about the size of maybe an oblong baseball or even a cricket kit, a duffel basically. But it was about that size. So let's say 3 feet, maybe a meter if you prefer. Yeah. And and he was very specific. It uses 2 cesium clocks to sync and a projected laser field that would encompass and it had to encompass a device like a car typically. It couldn't encompass a human because somehow it would just obliterate, organic material. But if you sat inside a car, it was cool.
Right.
Or something else, or a tank, or whatever, some device that completely encased you.
Right.
You could, and it would be basically a teleport, from that point in space-time to another point in space-time relative to that position on the Earth. So you basically had to do an entire year. That was the shortest duration you could do. And that's it was and they developed these because they needed certain technologies from the past. And what it was a found technology, like an old DARPA lab or something. They figured out what it was and said, "Oh, well, we need this piece of technology."
Right.
These different pieces of technology. And so he goes back to 1975, and he picks up an IBM 5100 computer because it has a very specific piece. That's an old piece of machinery, but it has a very specific piece of hardware that they need in the future for whatever reason. And so this is how they did it. They used the I forget his name, the scientist's name, but apparently this one scientist got it right when it came to time travel theory, and it wasn't Einstein. Basically, what you had to do is you had to jump back in time. You had to jump before you went to your intercept point. So if you have to go back to 1975, for example, you go there in like a month or maybe a week before, if you can hit that precise. Usually it's by a month, though, according to little dials on this machine. So he has to go in a month before, acquire his objective, and then he can jump forward again. But he'd have to do first, before he jumped forward from that point, he'd have to jump back 2 months before he made any changes, and then jump forward again in order to stay on his time stream. But, so he wouldn't end up in a deviated quantum different string, right? Of time. So that was an interesting thing. So you go back in time, you grab your objective, jump back further, and then you jump forward again.
Yes. Yeah, I know. It's just, but it's cool.
It's a fascinating thing. It's a great thing. Yeah,
I know.
It really is.
I know. For those
it's a great idea, and it made sense to me at the time. But you can actually look this up, John Titor, on Wikipedia. You can get the whole story. That is researchable.
I might even have some
his backstory about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some crazy stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff about him. Like, you can find that stuff pretty easily, which is amazing that it's still there.
Yeah, it really is. There is.
This is the lawyer, that I just spoke about, which was Andrew Basiago. All right. So here he was as a kid, obviously. This is him, apparently. So I'm going to put a different picture up now. I just wanted you guys to see who he was. All right. Now I'm going to stop the screen and put the other one up now, which is this photo here, which is just a bit of a bigger picture. There we go. He dressed in pure clothing. He alleges this is him, but I mean, we're on the computer. Do we really
Which
know?
one?
you know.
The
Well,
the
this
guy
guy right here.
standing alone,
Yeah, this is supposed to be him as a kid right there. Hold on.
the one standing
Right
alone.
here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see your image now.
Yeah.
Okay, your cursor right
This is supposed to be him at Lincoln's speech. So I don't know. I mean,
Very
we live in the
cool.
age of internet. Is it? Isn't it? I mean, it's cool.
It'd
The
be
fact
hard to
that
disprove. It'd be hard to prove as well.
see that, and that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Anybody, it
Yeah.
could be anybody's kid. You know what I mean? But the fact that
Yeah.
this is what he presents. This was at Gettysburg, because Patsy was asking, "Is this the guy who claimed to be at Gettysburg?" Yes.
This is
Hi,
the question
Patsy.
she asked. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Patsy.
So
And then also,
I don't know. Maybe not, you know. But it is interesting. It's super interesting. Here's another cool one, which was titled "The Death of a Time Traveler." This goes back to 1918. A newspaper clipping was found, and I have a picture of it too. I'll show it in a moment. In more recent years, depicting the death of a time traveler in a space tube. The event allegedly occurred in February of 1918 when a body was found inside a 2-foot cylinder. I guess they dubbed it a space tube. And beside him was a communication device that resembled one of our modern day cell phones. Some researchers believe that this was a government secret time travel experiment. It's been theorized that the cell phone device belonged to a scientist named Dr. Richard M. Perel, Perel. So if it's correct, then that means, you know, this would have been a big embarrassment, I would think, to, you know, to these people for sure.
yeah, a little bit.
Let me see if I can get a picture of this guy. Here it is. Okay. So let me just go back and go here. I'm just going to put down his A so I can find it easier. Okay. So 1 second here. And I will.
Hello, the Parlor Nights again, by the way, and the Woo Riders DJ.
Okay, 1 second. So let me grab these just to show you guys what we have. See, I come prepared. Turn this into like a. I know, good times right here. 1 second.
The good times. But I just want to remind those on the chat and those joining us just now, we are talking about time travelers and time slips. And,
Right.
we have a lot of people in the chat right now, so if you guys have questions, please ask us those questions. We're more than happy to answer them. Oh, very cool. Okay, right on.
Well, this was apparently like one of the original. They're obviously superimposing. This is the gentleman they think it was, going back to 1918. This is what it would have looked like, and they found. I'll show you the other picture. Okay. Which again has a little bit more info on it. So, bear with me. Bam, bam, there. So this is who they think it was, and you know, basically, like right in this area, right? It was where they believed to have found him. And there's other articles. There's like tons of different articles out here on this stuff. So I'm gonna see if I can make this a little bigger to see what this article says. 1 minute.
Oh,
I know. Hold on. I just don't know if we can make that. I can't make it.
I think you all heard me chewing on my
That's
tablet,
yeah.
sorry.
I'm not getting any better with this. So let me put it that way. But it's very cool when you think about it. You know, that this was probably one of the first stories, and I know there's another picture somewhere, and there's a picture of this. Were you looking at it? I'm gonna bring it back.
No, I lost your sound there for a second.
Oh, I don't. That's bizarre. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Internet's fun.
Yes. So that's that. That's, you know,
That's
there is a
amazing.
photo
And
out
his
there
body was found where you circled it?
in a tube.
Oh.
So there is a photo out there somewhere, and the guy is in this tube, and the cell phone or this device would have been somewhere in there.
Crazy. I
know.
remember seeing something regarding a cell phone that was caked in mud and had to be like 2,800 years old from where they found it.
We could do a
And that was
show.
a Nokia. It was a Nokia too. It was old school Nokia.
I know. We could do a show just on out of place artifacts. There's so many. There's so many
Totally could.
things on it. I've done them. They're unbelievable. The different things that are out there. Here's one, 1950. The event occurred in 1950 when witnesses reported a man dressed in Victorian clothing who appeared in Times Square, New York, looking very disoriented. As he proceeded to cross the street, he was hit by a car. When officers checked the body in order to identify him, they were somewhat perplexed because it made no sense. They found a metal token for beer with a name that no one recognized on it, and tokens back then. I want a token for a beer. I'd do that. But anyway, it was a receipt for the care of a horse and the washing of a carriage to an address that did not appear anywhere. There were old business cards that belonged to a man named Rudolph Fentz, F-E-N-T-Z. There was an address on Fifth Avenue with a letter to his address in June 1876 from Philadelphia, which was found. None of the objects showed any sign of deterioration, and with some investigating, a bank account was found of a man that died 5 years prior, whose wife was still alive. So basically, it turned out they found the daughter-in-law, whose husband was named after his grandfather, because this would have been her husband's grandfather, who disappeared at the age of 29 in 1876. And the case is deemed a common example of a journey that happened against the will of an individual interdimensionally. So did he just jump into a portal or walk into a portal? But critics have stated that the story was made up in the 50s. However, newspaper articles was found to discredit the theory that the story was made up.
Wow. So wow. Well, that kind of relates to the farmer story I told last week, where this guy's just plowing down his dead corn and takes a break and disappears, and his tractor's left running because he slipped into a phenomenon that just opened up. Whether it was on purpose or it's naturally generated, we don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's crazy.
And I've had Polar Night's thing up here where he tells us, and I've read this before as well, about a century-old Swiss watch was discovered in a Ming Dynasty tomb that was sealed prior to its opening.
Exactly.
How the heck did that happen? Because that's a 2,000-year disparagement right there, at least.
Whoa. There are some crazy out-of-place theories that go back billions.
Right.
They figure hundreds of millions. That's insane,
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the chronovisor?
Yes, that's the TV thing that the Vatican has, apparently. Supposedly.
It is. And the Vatican allegedly owns one. They call it a time travel device, which really it's able to photograph things. I've got some examples here. I'll show you. I'm on the fence with it. However, there's a whole other connection in this time and space. Guardians of, I think it's what were they called? The Guardian. I don't want to say Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's something really similar to that. It's crazy, but it is believed that this is one of their best kept secrets, if it exists at all. It was supposedly invented in the 1950s by a very dedicated team of scientists who have remained anonymous. The team also included two physicists, Enrico Fermi and Pellegrino Ernetti Enrico, or Enrigetti. Enrico was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1938 for his demonstration of the existence of new radioactive elements. It's this long thing. But anyway, the device has allegedly photographed and verified the existence of Jesus Christ and his crucifixion. There are theories that the chronovisor was shared with the Nazi Party during the war, so it's no secret that they had close ties to the Vatican, of course, right? That's how the Vatican came out unscathed. It came out unscathed because they had been made their own country, and they kind of stayed like Switzerland. Very neutral.
They're a city-state, yeah.
Yes. So there are other Guardians of the Looking Glass. Sorry, that's who I was looking for. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you these pictures right now. I just have to grab them. So I'm going to go to that one. And again, I'll tell you maybe why I'm skeptical about this. As soon as you see the pictures, I will explain why I'm a bit skeptical, at least about one of the pictures. Okay, so this is the one picture. Okay, but there have been other photographs also. This is just the ones that are circulating. But these Guardians of the Looking Glass used their version of a chronovisor, which was developed to try to stay ahead of what, shall we say, a more elite group of people, are doing out there. So this apparently is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. So plausible, I guess, again, plausible. With technology, it's hard to say, but this is a thing. And why it's a bit weird for me is when I see a picture like this, and I just want to get everybody's, like, it's almost like there's two separate pictures here, like two separate people in this frame that look a lot like Jesus Christ. Okay. But, right, we've got, is this Jesus? Is this John? Is this Jesus? We have to remember the part of the world that he came from, Jewish. Would he not have been darker skinned?
Yeah. Some polar nudge just said the same thing.
So there we go. Exactly. Yeah. Good timing on that. So, like we're kind of like, this is where I have this issue. And with technology, unless it's just an old faded picture, but I mean, everybody looks pretty Caucasian in the photo. So
yeah. Well, in this photo too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, apparently these things are used for not just this. This is just something that they've said, look, we went back and we found this. So you have to ask yourself, well, where did you find it? And who did you really have? Exactly. Right. So I don't know.
There's I'm going to bring up Wider's question as I answer that. I think there's definitely something to be said that they look too Caucasian in the photos. Now, yes. To give an argument to that, just for the sake of the interview, I would say that even in the region where they were, Jesus was a rabbi. He was Jewish, and so he was a little lighter skinned by nature, and and if that older gentleman that in front of him is Peter was a Roman prior to his service ending. And it's not hard to believe that other Jews would follow Jesus's path.
Yes.
So you would conceivably have lighter skinned people there.
Yes.
I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Okay.
So, so let's briefly tackle Woo. Actually, Woo. We're gonna hold off on that question. I'll keep it there, but I'm gonna hide it for now. I'm gonna come back to the AI thing, but overnights. You just have it out for the Catholics, man.
I know.
If the church was able to see the future, they would have wanted the Vatican crash in the 70s. Fair point. Maybe they weren't looking at the chronovisor that much. It could be super radioactive. You never know.
You know what I mean? It's kind of funky. It's cool if it exists. This whole Guardians of the Looking Glass thing is, boy, it's making the rounds out there and has been for quite a few years. Mm-hmm. They claim to see what's coming. I kind of like, hey man, it's there. I'll present it and see what everybody thinks, and that's about the extent of it,
Yeah, if you're going to make that claim, and they technically haven't. People have leaked it. There have been whistleblowers on this whole thing. But I mean, if you're going to make that claim, I would like to see why weren't there photos taken of the device and people looking at the device and that
Yes,
type of thing?
100%, because
There
it's so
should have been.
secretive, but I don't know. There's some
Right.
pretty big
Mhm.
names passing this around at different conventions and stuff. And I remember having one of these people on my show at one point, and I said, "Have you ever heard of this?" And they were like, "No." So I sent them all the information I had because they were on the circuit, just doing similar ideas. And all of a sudden, this thing just started going crazy viral. This person very, very popular, very well known. So it's kind of like, all right, there's something to it, sure, but I don't think it's quite maybe what it's being made out to be. If it is, I don't think it's ever going to see the light of day. We're never going to have, to that. We're never going to have our hands on it. But what I do find interesting, and this is something that history has spoken about, yet it has never been found, is the dial clock, the Nazi bell. And the Nazi bell, right?
Daglaka, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
and the bell was a scientific experiment by World War II scientists working for the SS. Hitler, it's no secret that Hitler and Himmler had a team of people that were looking for all the holy lost relics. They were looking for, anything high strangeness, the occult, esoteric. They were eyeball deep in it. So it's not surprising that they had this
Yeah.
thing. It was made of a very heavy steel, 9 feet wide, 12 feet high. When it was activated, it emitted strong radiation. Several scientists and animals and plant life around it actually died. Many people or many believed that it was no coincidence that Albert Einstein, who lived in Germany before World War II, had moved to America with his own ideas on time travel. But the bell was powered by metals such as mercury, beryllium, thorium, a high frequency power that rotating magnetic fields combined with energy which was generated by these liquids and produced apparently pretty amazing results and became a powerful weapon, to say the least. So the idea that the bell was supposed to create wormholes so scientists could transport objects through time and space, and that these wormholes would appear anywhere and everywhere. This was the belief. But it's also believed that the Nazis were assisted by extraterrestrials with ET technology after a reputed UFO crash in the Black Forest in 1932.
Oh,
Everything
yeah.
happens in the Black Forest. Get me going on the Black Forest.
It's a
So, no,
vortex, man.
and some. It's crazy place, But so if you factor a
Mhm.
lot of that stuff in there, we know. Oh, see, Polar Night says the bell did reappear in the 80s and vanished again. So who has it? Where is it? Right?
It's mine.
I know.
Um,
German style,
it's in my
yes.
backyard.
Yeah.
No,
I
just kidding.
I know. It's
Well, now
crazy.
the other theory I held on to, and it was recently discussed by Billy Carson. He said it factually, but I don't know what his sources are.
Right.
There was a similar crash that came down hard in the 50s or 60s in the middle of, I think, Kentucky, I think, and it was
Yeah.
called the Acorn shape shift
Okay.
ship, and the way that they had the same markings on the outside as the Daglaga. They they had the same. There was all kinds of similarities that the ship had,
Mhm.
and that crashed. And the funny thing was that when it disappeared in Germany around the Hinge, as they called it,
Mhm.
um, which is just a place they literally anchored it because they couldn't keep it from flying away.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
so this thing goes zip, and then it, for what time travels perhaps, and then comes down.
Mhm.
It apparently appeared in the upper atmosphere at the very farthest, at the very least, rather.
Yeah.
Comes down, crashes in Kentucky, and they pull it out. And the military was on it, man. They were so quick on that crash that it was phenomenal. It's like they knew it was coming down in that area because they were there in a flash. Just
Yeah.
barely any time passed when that thing came down, and it It had the exact same markings. I don't know if the swastika was ever on the Daglaka. It wouldn't surprise me, but they didn't describe anything like that in the
But the
eyewitness
swastika was
reports.
bastardized by the Nazi. That's an ancient
Oh,
symbol
yeah, it
that's been
was.
around for
Very
ages.
ancient. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's like taking a pentacle and turning it upside down. I think that they just fudged
Well,
around
they
with it.
rotated it 45 degrees.
Exactly. See?
Realistically, that's what they did.
Yeah.
They
Pretty
rotated
much.
it 45 degrees.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Let's
So,
briefly go back as I left poor Woober hanging.
yes.
What do we think about the artificial intelligence re-rendering of the Shroud of Turin? I found it intriguing, to say the least.
Yes.
Does it really lend any credence to the Shroud of Turin? I don't think it takes anything away. I don't think it really adds anything. It's just a cool additional piece of technology you can add to it.
I agree with you. I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of that integrated into all types of levels within media. It's kind of cool to see. They've just done a bunch more tests on it, if memory serves me correctly, and feel that it's been validated to be the Shroud. So AI, unfortunately, we're moving into an age of AI, and it's one of those things that you're going to have to question literally everything. But at least they said to you, "Hey, this is an AI rendition," which is probably more than what we get on a lot of stuff that's coming out right now. But it's always interesting to see. It's pretty sophisticated. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Wayne.
Hi,
Hello.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Wayne is here too, and Polar Knights is going off, man. He has all kinds of stuff to say.
I know. Go crazy.
I'm going to
Polar
put this
Knight.
one up.
That's it.
They can't be aliens if they have the means to travel here. They're far more advanced than us. It'd be like trying to talk to an ant. I can see your point, but at the same time...
I know.
At the same time, there have been too many government officials that have come forward and said, "Yeah, we're talking to them," So
I know it's always interesting for sure. It's always interesting. I have those notes on my notes on John Titor, which they believe time traveler or hoax.
Yeah. There was a lot of questions about his stuff.
There was, because it's just one of those things and he just drops off. So he is still considered to be the most famous travelers who allegedly came from the year 2036 to assist in saving the world. We're failing miserably, I'm just saying. He initially made contact November 2nd, 2000, right, via an internet discussion board, like we were mentioning, under Time Traveler O. He posted a message claiming to be stopping by to pick up old family photos and an IBM 5100 computer dated from 1975. Why? But within the following 4 months, he would post about future affairs such as civil conflict over a U.S. presidential election and mad cow outbreak. Been through that. Impending nuclear war with Russia. Been through that. After 4 months, on March 24, 2001, he signed off claiming he would return in 2036. Man.
We got to wait that long.
We have to wait that long. I know. So it's just like, But another man named Alexander Smith was a participant in a top secret program, which eventually made him one. I'm mentioning him because it made him one of humanity's first time travelers. He has a photo from 2118, smudged, but seems to show a high-rise center. He claims that there is danger of AI, speaking of AI, taking over. However, the biggest threat to humanity is global warming. So I don't know about that, but I don't know.
Well, I'm familiar with the story. He actually goes through and he talks, like you said, this AI, and it's limited. You can only be there because of the radiation output of this thing's power core. So you can only be there in this little boxed, protected room. But even that isn't enough. You can be there for like 18, 20 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe longer. But you can ask a series of questions. And he kept asking historical questions. And then he had to leave. And he also mentioned this really cool thing where there were these tubes running throughout the city that he was staying in, and they weren't it was like a freeway, but for people, and you can jump into it, and you were just kind of either magnetically propelled or maybe propelled
Yeah.
through air. I'm not sure how it worked, but
Yeah.
it was there was a trick to slowing down and getting off
Mhm.
at certain stops, and these kids, these teenagers, rode that thing like constantly. That was their iPhone, basically. You know,
Right.
that was their thing, and they would always do tricks and stuff in there, and they get in trouble by the robot police,
Yeah.
as he
Yeah.
pointed out. So that was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting. There's just so much stuff out there, and it's like you get to a point where you don't even know what to believe anymore, really. I mean, I believe anything's possible. I believe there is a lot more technology out there than what is told to us, you know. And again, I do have a picture of this Alexander Smith if you guys want to look at that picture.
Yeah,
um
let's take a look at Alexander.
well, he shows him in the picture of those buildings, right? And then I've got a picture of oh, this is the traveling hipster. I got some good pictures I'm going to show. These are great. Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute. Let's just
Okay.
kind of go from there.
Well,
This
a
will be
minute.
fun.
I just want to acknowledge Heidi here real quick. Thank you for posting all that, Heidi. I'm sorry you couldn't find the link more immediately. Wanted to thank you for helping us spread the word. Thank you very, very much.
Heidi
Um,
rocks.
Heidi
Okay,
does
you all
rock.
rock.
She's amazing.
Yeah, we love you guys. All right, here we go. So this is this guy I was just talking about, Alexander, who's got this. He had a photo from the future.
Oh,
This is it,
yeah.
right? I don't
Uh-huh.
know. Again, it's kind of like, all right, but it's
I
cool. He's
mean,
trying to show, like, I have this photograph and this is what it is. It looks kind of
too bad your
futuristic.
cameraman didn't know how to focus things
I know.
because he's in focus. The camera.
I
I
know.
was like,
I know.
what's more important, buddy?
But
That's a cool looking city. Those are really weird looking buildings. They look like the foam finger #1 things, you know.
hmm
Uh,
hmm I
but
know.
that's pretty cool. If that's legit. I
Oh,
mean, what year was this for him?
for him,
Relatively?
this Alexander was in. Hold on a second. It's a picture of him from 2118. It said,
Okay, and
smart.
what year did
But
he come back to?
I no idea. No idea. It doesn't say at all. Because I am thorough. If it was there, I'd have found it. But he's showing that this picture is when he traveled to this back to 2118, and that's
It's a
what
cool looking
building.
future city. I'll have to say that. And
I know.
did he say that thing was floating, or am I misremembering that?
He did not. What he said was, he just seems to show a high-rise center
Hmm,
and made claims about AI taking over and that kind of thing.
gotcha.
So it's sort of like, okay, you know. And then we've got the, the best time travel photos. Okay, you want to see these?
Yes.
Uh,
I like the one. If you have the one from the Charlie Chaplin film, that would be awesome.
I don't know. I'll have to actually see. I don't know what's here. I've got a list. There's a traveling hipster, Marilyn Monroe,
Polar
the
Nights,
traveling
dude. I
hipster.
love this guy.
I know it's great. It's got cell phone artwork. But hey, have you guys
Okay.
even taken consideration into those celebrity lookalikes, or are they family lines?
Oh, interesting. Yeah. The time travel. Are you talking about the time travel like Nick Cage in the Civil War era versus
Yeah.
now?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Right on.
I've
Wayne,
got a few.
welcome.
I've got a few of them. 1 second. Do you want to look at them? I think they'd be
Yeah,
hilarious.
let's take a quick look at them.
Okay, one
Um,
second.
for those who don't know, who are just joining us, we are talking about time travelers, time slips, and other strange anomalies. Um, Polar
I
Knights
know.
also mentioned something regarding our AI, our little pass with AI, that Google tried to escape, basically. Google's AI tried to get out. That's awesome. I guess, maybe. I don't know. But that's interesting. I've also seen the video that supposes that somewhere in a warehouse in, I don't know where in Asia, either Japan or China, that these little cleaning robots that they have, with little yellow lights on them.
Yeah.
One,
Yeah.
they're run by AI, and one of them kind of became self-aware and convinced his buddies to become self-aware or programmed them, and they left.
I know. I know. I
We're
know.
walking out, man.
You gotta,
I
you
don't know
know,
where we're gonna recharge.
we really have to look at the fact that things are definitely happening here. And AI is
Well,
on
yeah,
the
if we're
rise.
gonna build
Even
the artificial intelligences, they will become more than we expect. I mean, they're
well,
gonna get
Stephen
their job
Hawking
is to
even
learn.
talked about that, right? Like he even said, "Look, do not do this." We've been warned about this real early on, and then Google's was a fine example of that. That thing was crazy, and it just wouldn't take direction. But the guy got fired for even trying to bring it to attention
Yeah,
or
yeah.
somebody's attention. So it's like, oh, let's just go with that, right? So okay, so some of these are pretty funny. I'm just saving them all because these are some pretty good ones.
Sounds good.
I know they're just great. I figure while you're talking, I'll just grab these. I have them in a file, so I'm just
Well,
trying to grab them.
we're talking about potential celebrities like Nick Cage as an example, who has
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Some of
seen
these are
time
great.
travel, and Dolly Saffron. Hi, Dolly.
I think
Says that
I
genetics are
love you.
interesting. Any number of combinations across all ethnicities can replicate the number the numbers of happening in our humanity are high. And she's
Mm.
absolutely correct. I have a family twin from like 3 generations back.
Yeah.
We look exactly alike. He was a great uncle or something like that.
And I love
And
that.
yeah, so
Right?
it does happen.
Oh, I know. I love that. Okay, one second. Let me just grab some of these. Some of these are great. And when these were all done, they were before I don't want I've got tons. I'm not going to do them all, but I'm going to definitely bring up some popular ones. Um okay, hold on. And then we've got where was the first one?
And a quick hello to Michelle. I waved at her before. And Diane just joined us. Welcome, Diane.
Okay. So we'll start with number one. We've got two here. This is the famous Jay-Z one, right? Everybody sees this one. So here we go.
Right.
Right? It looks pretty compelling.
Right.
It looks pretty good.
It's
It
not
looks
that far off, yeah.
no, not at all. I think it looks
No.
okay. you know. Um, and then we've got Greta, good old Greta. This one, you guys will know her to see her. But you know, there's a couple here, and again, this is pre the the whole AI thing.
Oh,
these got
okay.
these got presented a few years ago. When we did a
Crazy.
quick segment of the gray zone. So this was one of them. And there's another one of her as well. Seems to be pretty popular. But again, it's just a colorized version of
Yeah.
so hold on. Present it up. We'll get through them pretty quick. But it's it's
Polar
interesting.
Knights gave us this. This is sort of
I know.
Polar Knights gave us a little thing. Little quick correction. Michelle's Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm the only American one right now. But
That's just so
thank you. I'm
shocking.
glad you think we're normal.
I need to stop watching. Well, I get it. You know. Okay, one second here.
2 normal North Americans, let's call it.
Here's a good Nicolas Cage. I know you're all welcome, by the way. Just gonna scar a few people. Here we go. Nick Cage.
There we go.
This is
Oh yeah,
popular.
the Nick Cage one is pretty good.
Yeah, this one's very popular. People just sort of dig this guy. This seems to be a really popular one. But some of these I haven't seen before. Until prior to doing the initial research.
Yeah.
But Rupert Grint from Harry Potter.
Oh, crazy. That is painted.
Right?
He's painted.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
I know, but it's an old painting. That's exactly right. It's
Yeah.
an old painting, right? So and here's one that I'm on the fence with, but it's close. I think the Canadian Prime Minister looks more like this guy than than Liam Neeson. But you know, if we compare him to,
Fidel, really?
yeah, exactly, right. So that's
I'm not
kind of
seeing it,
cool.
but okay.
I know. I'm just kind of like, okay. Now here's an interesting one. Also, hold on. You guys
Okay.
all recognize this. You'll all recognize good old Sly Stallone here.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
also like, like what?
Okay.
All
I
right,
know
we're
that
having
painting too.
yeah. What's that
Yeah.
painting? Which one is the painting of what?
That's gosh, I want to say oh, now I'm blanking on the artist. Damn. Okay. If you have the if you have the info, go ahead and release it because I can't name them.
I know. I'm brain shooting with it as well. So here's a good one of Orlando Bloom. So
Oh, I've
I
seen
thought
this
this was
one. Yeah, that's good.
yeah. There's a couple of him floating around. This seems to be the most popular one.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
It's pretty close. It is. It's interesting. Okay. And now
Yeah.
here's one. I mean, we all love to hate this guy when we watch Game of Thrones, but you have to check this out because if I'm not mistaken, this is the Roman Emperor Caligula.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is. It is because I mean,
That's
did they make it look
impressive.
like that? I don't know. The facial features are pretty, like right
Pretty
down to
striking, yeah.
the lips, and it's sort of
Yeah.
like, okay, that's something.
Yeah.
And here we've got, lastly, we'll show this guy up and tell me what you guys think with this one.
Sorry, your sound went never. Oh, wow. Well,
I
are
don't know. Shouldn't
these?
Vladimir be much older?
You have to. I mean,
Other than that,
it's
Russians got good
he's
genes.
well, yeah. I was gonna say something close to that. There's a lot of. I don't know what it is about the Russian people specifically, and it's not limited to just the Russians, but I've seen
Yeah.
similar pictures of friends, Russian descent, and they have pictures of their great grandmothers or grandpa. They show me. It's like, does that look like me? Because I don't see it. It's like they're virtually identical, and these are the first two are 20 years apart. So it could be
Which would be
it could be brothers or
normal,
father son thing, or
but
and
yeah,
Putin's features are pretty
cool.
distinctive. So it wouldn't surprise me that he had relatives that looked a lot like him.
Oh, for sure. But isn't it cool just to see? Some of them
Yeah,
are so are just incredible,
yeah,
So yeah. So I don't
it
know. I
really
thought
is.
those were kind of fun, right?
Absolutely. You know what this
Yeah.
is? This is a perfect time to take a very, very short little station identification break, and we'll do a short one. This will be like 15 seconds. We'll be right back after this. This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN talkradio.com. Esoteric programming at its finest. And we're back.
Beauty. So
So,
I know. Do you want to touch on Nikola Tesla, of course, on time travel?
let's do that because he has an amazing story. But go ahead.
He does. Well, of course, we just spoke about him with his participation in the Philadelphia experiment, but he, much like Einstein, he did believe that time travel was possible and that space and time could be altered with the right frequencies of magnetic fields. It was no secret that he was obsessed with the concept of radio frequencies. He conducted a series of experiments that did result in the Philadelphia experiment, obviously. But little else is known about this particular research. But it is believed that he was able to see the past, present, and the future through his research. And of course, we know that a lot of these experiments that took place after his passing came from, of course, his files that went missing.
That's incredible. Wayne Mallow just popped up.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy. I know.
It's a great story.
Mhm.
Polar Nights asked if I am in New Orleans. No, I'm not. But I was taught by a buddy of mine in the Air Force from New Orleans. That's how you say it. New Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah,
New Orleans or Nolans or however
I
it is you
know.
want to. There's variations on it. Don't say New Orleans because you sound like a complete
New Orleans.
Yankee to them, and they'll just never respect you.
You have to actually tune in when the owner of the network, Joe, is on one of his shows, and you'll get the full twang going on, and
Oh yeah.
oh yeah. So yeah, good times.
That's good times.
Anything outside the box? Okay, just looking. Sorry, caught Heidi's comment. So I'm just going to see if I can put this up. All right. Okay. So we've got.
Sorry, I'm enjoying the chat conversation here.
You
It's
go
fun.
ahead, man. I'll just keep reading. So there's a guy. The 20th traveled here from the 23rd century. His name is Yevgeny. I'm going to totally butcher this. Iosifovich, a guy Kochuk, who allegedly traveled here from the 23rd century and got stuck here in the 20th. So the story says that when he was a boy, he decided to hijack a time machine along with a female companion. Who gets to just do that? Anyway.
Wait a minute. What year was this?
Yeah, in the 23rd century.
Oh, okay. That makes it a little.
Yeah, he traveled back here to the 20th century at the time. And the story goes that when he was a boy, he decided to hijack a time machine along with a female companion in the 23rd century, I'm guessing, obviously. They were on to a good start, visiting all kinds of places of antiquity, and landed here with the machine crashed. Welcome to the prison planet. Anyway, they realized that the time machine could only lift one of them to return home. And of course, he stepped aside to let her go. He was 12 years old at the time. Help never returned. And the young man was soon adopted by a loving couple. And by 15, he entered into a book apprenticeship at Lemingrad's House of Books. His knowledge of history aided him well in his life. He died in 1991. And in a strange paradox, he passed away 2 centuries before his actual birth. So here's, like, again, there's so much more to the story. So we're talking about that paradox again.
Yeah. Wow.
I know.
That's crazy.
Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy? It's like, this is where we're getting into, like, just the time slips and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So another woman named Agnes Whiteland she was visited by time travelers during World War I. An event took place in England where she was peering out of her balcony when she noticed a round platform in the air. It was described as about 30 centimeters thick in diameter, roughly 3.5 meters by 9 meters off the ground, roughly 100 feet away from her. It did not appear to have any propulsion engines at all, nor did it produce any actual noise. And there were 8 to 12 men standing in a circle on this platform that seemed to be looking for something, but they looked like military personnel. So this, again, World War I. So the event has been researched by many experts, and the results could not find valid explanation for this sort of transport and was deemed an isolated event. So aside from noticing the uniforms were not of the present, it was determined that they were visitors from the future, and the event remains pretty much unsolved. But the fact that it's still out there to be found, I thought was very, very interesting. Because normally
that is strange. I've not heard that one before.
Well, even in World War I, you have you had pilots who had UFO encounters and were said, you never talk about it. There are more deathbed confessions from these guys who talked about on their deathbeds to their loved ones, this happened. You got to keep the story going in the family because it happened, but we were not allowed to talk about it. And then you get a story like this. It's like, oh, hey, that's all right.
Yeah, that
I
one
don't
we'll
know.
let go. That
Yeah,
one you
we'll
can
let
talk
that
about.
weird one go for sure, right? Like, so I don't
Huh.
know. I don't know. So, but, when you're looking at, I mean, let's face it, we know that there are stargates pretty much all over the place, vortexes, vortices, people. It's not hard to create a portal. They're pretty easy to create. There's a lot of really gifted individuals out there who know how to create them. So are people just kind of, slipping in and out? Because I think I mentioned it in closing on the last show, that I personally like know of two stories. One came from one of my family members, for somebody he actually knew. And then Wayne actually has a friend who I also know who did the same thing. So essentially, both were kids, both were running around the house playing, and all of a
Oh,
sudden, right, they're gone. They're just
yeah,
gone.
right.
And they could hear their families. They wander into the house. Nobody's around. Two very similar stories of kids just playing. And they decide, oh, just going to start running around the house the other way. Hear the logic. And
Kid logic,
all of
yeah.
us, right? All of a sudden, they show up and the parents are like, where have you been? Like, you've been gone for hours. And the kid's
Oh,
like, I
yeah.
can hear you. I can hear you calling me. Like, but they couldn't get back. So what is that? Is that this energy thing, frequency, altering the frequency or the vibration of the
I
space?
would assume. I mean, there's probably a lot of things that come into effect. Where did they live? What was under their soil? Was there a lot of
Quartz?
iron? Is there a lot of
Yeah.
quartz? Is there?
Quartz, water, limestone.
I mean, a lot of that stuff stores a lot of weird, exotic energy. Believe it or
Hmm.
not, and sometimes it releases, and it takes certain frequencies, and those kids run around screaming at bizarre frequencies may have been just the right frequency to open that weird fold.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's bizarre because certain harmonics can vary. They destroyed cancer cells recently with certain harmonics.
Yeah.
Just aimed it at this one cluster of cancer things, and then the thing broke up within a few minutes.
Yeah. It's crazy,
It was
isn't
a
it?
bizarre, really off-putting harmonic, but it worked.
Hmm.
So who
Uh,
knows?
that's
Tesla was probably
exactly
right
it.
on when he said something about frequencies. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I absolutely agree. Everything's vibration and frequency, you know?
And we're learning
It's,
that more and more, fortunately. I'm
hmm
glad.
I know, for sure. For sure. You want another story?
Sure.
A bunch of them. Okay. So people actually speculate whether this story actually happened. And it's actually a time slip from 1935 with a man whose name was Victor Goddard. This one's a bit of a mystery. There are a lot of people that believe him, and like they believe he did, in fact, experience a time slip. Others,
Hmm.
so you guys see how you feel. This is incredible. This was an incredible story. I have seen. It's funny because after I presented this on one of the other shows that I did with Joe, um, it wasn't long before Ancient Aliens portrayed this. So, but here's the deal. Victor was a Royal Air Force Wing commander on a flight from Edinburgh, Scotland to his home base in Andover, England, and decided on a particular day to take an alternate route from Durham, Scotland. And he encountered a storm, and the plane was engulfed in high winds and it began to fall. He passed over a debilitated aircraft, which was constructed during World War One, which had been converted to a farm which was overgrown with foliage. Okay, so not inhabitable. So on this day, something was very different. The airfield, which he knew about, to prior flights, looked different. The scenery itself appeared different. The hangars were brand new. There were 4 planes on the ground painted yellow in color, and this was never a Royal Air Force color in 1935.
Hmm.
He did spot 3 planes which were familiar and one that was not. The fourth was a monoplane, which the Royal Air Force did not have in 1935. Even the mechanics on the site didn't dress like Royal Air Force mechanics. So as the storm engulfed the plane once again, he was able to get on his way. So why was this dubbed a time slip? he was never, or he was, sorry, he was actually witnessed at Drum Air Force Base, which technically never existed in 1935. However, in 1939, 4 years later, the Royal Air Force was equipped with everything that Victor spotted when he flew over it. And they started to paint their planes yellow, and the new monoplane was introduced in 1939. So he flew into the future, apparently, while in the storm, or got pulled in. But
Wow.
the people on the ground saw him fly overhead 4 years where he shouldn't have been.
That's incredible.
Isn't that
That is
wild?
incredible.
It
Yes.
is. I love the story because it's just it's like the double. You don't just get the person, in this case on the plane,
Yeah.
having the experience and going, what is all this? You have the people from the ground looking up at this anomaly, this plane going, what is that?
Why is that
Like it,
here now?
exactly. It's a double because they would have known that we haven't seen a plane like that since 4 years ago. And this guy is 4 years ahead, and they actually spot one another.
So the future witnessed the past and vice versa.
Yes,
That's amazing.
exactly. So this
It's
is started
amazing.
circulating after, after we found this. It was great, but I was just ironically one day watching this episode of Ancient Aliens, going, I know that story. A few years later. So it was it's one I love to tell because it's just so incredible. Right. And you just have this guy who's just like
Yeah,
a reputable guy. He's just out there on his flight trying to get home and has this amazing experience. And I can imagine the people on the ground even telling their families in 1935, we saw this. And can you imagine down the line if you get these stories merging? Like
hmm
because it's only 4 years. It's very
yeah,
plausible that descendants, of the pilot, and would come into contact with the people on the ground. And I think
for
it's just
sure.
one of those tales that will keep going.
That's amazing. That's probably one of the best double eyewitness things I've ever heard. That's pretty good.
It is awesome. It is awesome. But and it's just not one of those typical um typical time travel stories. I dig the time travel, but the time slips are always so
Yeah.
amazing to me. It reminds me, I think we had talked about this woman. Oh, here, this is a story. I touched on it briefly when we spoke last, but I didn't have all the details. This is a story of
Okay.
Lorena Garcia Gordo, a parallel, no, this is known as a parallel universe experience. So 2008, she woke up in a bed and realized that her pajamas and sheets were entirely wrong. She didn't recognize
Okay.
anything, in fact. So after continuing on with her morning routine, she would learn that she was, in fact, as she entered, I mean, it was pretty quick to realize you've entered into a parallel universe. Like she was somehow aware of this. So she began to notice small inconsistencies, such as being out of place, like objects were missing altogether. She noticed that items she never bought at all were there. And she knew somehow that this was not her world. Her entire life was gone. Her partner of 7 years apparently didn't even exist in this world. According to the detective she hired to find him, her car was different. Her apartment was gone. Her job was the same, but work was moved to an entirely different building. She
Hmm.
went to a doctor, underwent psychiatric and psychiatric tests, other sort of tests, physical tests. Everybody said, "No, you're okay. You're okay." But what was actually happening to her? Her reality has basically disappeared. Her partner does not exist. She could not even locate where he had lived, or nor could she find his son. So she suffers from stress and looks for anyone else who has had similar experiences. And I even read in one case that there was a reward for anybody who can get her back.
Wow. That's
What would
amazing.
you do, right? What would you do if this happened to you?
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine because I would not want to be without my family. I'm all down for switching into timelines, but I'd have to do it with the people I love. I couldn't do that. I'd
Well,
miss
not
my.
only that, if I were to do it, I'd definitely want a way back. You know,
I know.
it's
I
like I
know,
better have
right?
a way back. This reminds me of another story out of Canada, if I'm not mistaken. It's not exactly time slip or anything like that, but it was
Right.
something along the lines of an alien abduction gone way weird, just so sideways,
Okay.
according to the witness. And I don't have names, unfortunately. This is a relay from a show that Dan Aykroyd hosted a very, very long time ago.
I know that show.
And
Yeah.
the story goes that this woman woke up and she goes to get her son out of bed. Time to get up. And when she opens the door, there's her son, and there's another one of her son, a twin, that wasn't there before.
Two
And
for
so
one.
it turns
Yeah.
out they'd both been up since like midnight or something like that, having a conversation, just talking, trying to get to know each other and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I was asleep in the bed. The twin says this now. I was asleep in the bed exactly where you are, and when I woke up, I was on the floor, and you were in the bed. And I don't know what's going on. So,
Wow.
she's really freaking out about that. And then she goes downstairs, and her cat runs by,
Right.
begs for food, and then her other cat, which wasn't there before, a twin,
Mm-hmm.
also sits there and begs for food. The cats got twinned. The boys got twinned. So she's wondering she's just losing her mind. She's
Right?
the only thing that wasn't twinned so far,
Oh,
and so she
yeah.
she let the boys just deal with themselves. She calls the kid in sick because she's got to get a handle on this. And suddenly she has two cats to feed. So
Yeah.
okay, so she feeds the two cats, and she's down in the kitchen, and they had this set of goldfish that they always had to protect from the cats. I'm sorry, they had one goldfish, a big one. Well, that had a twin as well. Suddenly, there were two goldfish in this tank.
Two fish, two cats, two kids.
Two fish, two cats, two sons. So they're
Son.
thinking they're at one point or another because she went to get help. She went to a psychologist saying, "Am I going nuts? He regresses her. It turns out her
Oh,
whole family has been, abducted. Just kind of like what your story goes. You've had family that have been abducted, you've
yeah.
been
It's a
abducted, so on and
lineage
so
thing.
forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah. And so it turns out this was happening to her, it was happening to her son. And the only conclusion that they could come to is like they were duplicating you for experimentation, and somehow someone hit the wrong switch or something along those lines, and suddenly all these twins were in the house, except for her, which is weird. And apparently they've been there ever since. And like suddenly there was this twin kid that just came out of nowhere.
I can't even imagine that. That is so bizarre.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That's the weirdest one
That's
I know
so
of.
bizarre. I can't even wrap my head around that.
Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it?
In
Everything gets
Canada, no less.
twinned except
Great.
you.
Right? I know. I know. Everybody except you. You're the only one that, like, why didn't they want
And the
to
funny thing was the boy, the new twin,
Mm.
had all the original's memories. So there was a real identity crisis there. It's like, oh gosh, suddenly I'm a separate person. So
Right. That is crazy. That is crazy. That takes things to a little bit
yeah,
of
that's nuts.
a different level there. So what did
Yeah,
she
that's an
end up? Did it say?
unreal situation, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because
One more
did these
time?
twins stay? Did they ever disappear again, or were they there forever
No,
after that?
no, they were there forever. The cats died roughly the same time. The goldfish died roughly the same time. And I think the two boys are adults now, but they're running around as twins.
That would just be bizarre. How does like twin number two even explain any of that. That's
Right.
just
I'm not sure what they made up to explain him away. My guess is that they said, "Oh, Dad had him for a while," because she was a single mother.
right.
Dad had him for a while, and then he got sent back to me. I was like, all right. But that
Oh
would
my
be,
God.
that's just a guess on my part. But
Wow.
nonetheless, I mean, God,
Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely correct. I could not even imagine waking up to two of my kids when I only had one. You know?
It's
And
insane. It's
yeah,
insane. Um, you know, I wanted to like touch on this deja vu theory because it's believed that when you have deja vu, you're actually looking through a window into a parallel universe. I've never heard that theory, but you know, when I read about it, it actually made a lot of sense because many of us have experienced this. Like who hasn't experienced a deja vu, where it's like,
yeah,
oh, like some place is familiar
yeah.
to you, or a situation, or an event, you know. But I think it was happening so much, the scientists started to take notice of it, and they started studying the phenomenon. They thought maybe there was a glitch in our memory system. Psychologists suggested maybe that you know, it was
Yeah, something about
something
the
that
prefrontal cortex or something like that.
yeah, well, something, you know, past life memories, like they really just couldn't put their finger on it. But there was, in fact, a connection between deja vu and parallel universes they found. And Dr. Michio Kaku, who we've seen on, you know, many different shows,
Yeah,
Ancient Aliens is a big one, suggests that it may even occur while flipping between different universes, and explains that quantum physics state that there is such a possibility. He goes on to make mention that Professor Steve Weinberg, famous theoretical physicist and, you know, Nobel Prize winner, supports the idea of a multiverse. Okay, we've talked about that.
hmm.
He also suggests that there's an infinite number of parallel realities which coexist with us in the same room. Explains a lot, time slips, things like that. But
Yeah,
what he goes on to say, which I find interesting, because this is something else that many of us experience. I certainly do on a regular basis. But he says that we are tuned into frequencies which correspond to our the physical reality, like radio frequencies, but we just can't tune into all of them. I always say different radio stations, different dimensions. You can only listen or be in one at a time. But do you ever lay in bed at
yeah,
night and listen in silence and hear radio broadcasts which seem to come out of nowhere, sometimes barely audible? And you ever actually able to hear some of the voices that come out of there? I've been doing listen to this stuff for like my entire life. And now with these
really.
towers, ugh, for sure. Now with these towers and,
Oh
you know,
wow.
microwaves and everything, there's so many more new frequencies that have been introduced into our environment from one time where, you know, we were kids. I've
Oh yeah.
always heard this. Always, 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 and even more so now, right?
That is amazing.
Listen
You know what
though,
I've been hearing? Well,
unexplained.
it didn't start happening for me until, like you said, we started getting cell towers in our neighborhood.
Mhm, mhm.
But I hear, and I don't know why, but I tune into like 70s and 80s AM radio kind of a thing, but just
That's
the
what I'm saying.
music.
Yeah, it's just but there's a lot of that. That's what I mean. Like there's so
Yeah.
much. So obviously we're tapping into these different frequencies. And Wayne says once you get to the point in your life where you die, the deja vu experiences seem to disappear. So I get when you
Oh,
died,
that's
is that NDE? Because Wayne had a crazy, everything happens to this guy, had a crazy NDE experience. So is that what you mean there? Because you're not dead, obviously. Deja vu
well, you're
experiences.
saying the alternate you died. I mean, that could be some of these more,
Yeah.
visceral dreams you have too. That actually, in
Mhm.
fact, it was even explored in the Doctor Strange movie, where
Yes.
oh, that's what dreams are. They're your alternate lives, and yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we've all had that dream. Hell, I remember vividly when I was like 11 or 12 or something,
Mhm.
having a dream. I'm swimming in my grandfather's pool, very clear,
Yeah.
colored dream,
Yeah.
and I'm swimming in my grandfather's pool, and I get a hitch in my leg, and I can't get to the bottom. And you know they're all partying and enjoying the barbecue, and they don't see me drowning.
Oh,
I mean, until the last possible minute, my stepdad dives into the pool, and I can't hold my breath anymore, and I inhale And I feel the water go into my lungs, and then I wake up.
Yeah. But when you dream about death, it actually means it's the birth of something new and the end of something old, new beginnings. So when you dream about that, is it usually is this recurring or just once in a while?
It was
Or
just the one
thing?
thing for me.
Yeah, see? So they say you have to look at what you have going
I
on in your
lost
life
your
at the
audio
time.
feed again in my ear.
Really? I don't know. I got nothing. Everybody hearing me?
Can you say that? Can you repeat that for me?
Is it just him? No. They say when you dream about death, you have what?
No, keep going.
Okay, can we hear me now? I feel like I'm in a Verizon
Yeah, I can hear
commercial.
you.
Can you hear me now? No, they say when you
Free plug.
they say when you are when you dream of death, you should look at what's going on in your life at that current time, because it really does mean that it's the losing one thing and starting something new beginning, whether it be the birth of a child or the birth of a new situation and the end of an old. Death doesn't actually mean death.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's
which is kind of
intriguing.
cool. Yeah. So, yeah. So time slips are much different, of course, in time travel. And there's a lot of cool time slips. So when you look at a time slip, if you start just looking, it's a temporal distortion, right? An event that occurs to an individual going back, forward. We've talked a lot about that. But there's more stories of obviously time slips than there are time travel. So there's one from Cumbria, England, on a hot day. The woman's name is Angela. On a hot day in the mid 1970s, she and a friend walked onto a footpath, roughly 15-minute walk. She claimed that she started to feel apart, just apart, as she explained it, from everyday world. A very strange feeling for her. She felt that the atmosphere felt increasingly heavy, as though there were thunder in the air. They turned a corner and both saw a very old-fashioned cottage that appeared to be from the Middle Ages. The problem was that they had never seen this cottage before on their walk in this exact spot. She felt as though there was a very uncanny feeling about the place, and when the door began to open, they both fled. When she returned months later, she could not find the cottage, and of course, her friend never spoke of it again. Her friend was in complete denial. Nope, not doing it.
Didn't happen.
I get that. Nope, not going to do that. So
wow, that's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy.
You hear about these things when you're vacationing and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's always comforting, isn't it?
I know. Far away from home. Where am I for real?
Right.
Yeah.
There was something similar. This is more of an alternate dimension slip that happened in, I think, at the border of Utah, and or is it the border of Arizona?
I could see Arizona.
I think it is Arizona, actually.
For sure.
So it's the northern border of Arizona, and these college girls are heading home. And they're one of these dorms where there's a curfew. And if you don't beat the curfew, you get demerits. And I don't know. This is back in the 60s or 70s when this happens.
Right.
70s specifically. Because the one girl who was driving, it was her car, and she had this cool muscle car, right? So she's driving along, her two friends are in the back, and they're in a rush, and they're speeding down, and they say, we are never going to make it to campus on time. Let's take this shortcut I've heard about. It should be coming up here. And where is it? And remember, they're in the desert, man. It is black. The only light is their headlights and maybe a little bit of moonlight. He says, how am I going to see it, because we're going, he says, well, it actually has a lamppost there to highlight the sign. So, okay, great. So, sure enough, they see a light up ahead. It's a lamppost going to, I forget where, but it's a shortcut. It'll save them like at least an hour. So they take this shortcut, and she's a bit of a hot dogger, so she's got her foot to the floor the whole time. They drift around the corner and off they go. And it was relatively clear night, and they said all of a sudden it got super cold, and they noticed clouds were suddenly overhead, and they're looking off the left and right. Again, it's pitch black out in the middle of nowhere, man. But
Yeah.
through the little bit of moonlight that's out there, they can see farms,
Mm-hmm.
acreage, farms, crops
Yeah.
off to one side. In the desert, no, no way. So they're like, where are we?
I know.
I said, listen, I'm just driving, man. So she goes, she hits it, and it's like, and it's getting more and more weird. Suddenly there's trees. Suddenly there's, like really tropical trees, deciduous trees, all kinds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's becoming a little more dense. And there's going, where are we? This should not be in Arizona. Okay. Even the high desert doesn't have stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
And, so they come upon this like roadhouse, and they are freaking out. So they convince the girl to pull over. They're all going to hop out and ask directions. And as soon as the car stops to a skid, then she kind of showboats the driver. That's just her vibe, right? And she gets out of the car, or no, the one girl, not the driver, but the passenger gets out of the car, and she stops, and she lets out this howl, just this fearful scream, and she jumps back into the car, and the other girls look out, and there are these people that have horns, and as one of them starts getting closer and closer, they have patches of skin and a snout. They look like cows, upright walking cows.
Oh, come on.
That's what they're saying.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going, what's going on? Like cows and different kinds of farm animal type people, sheep people, pig people, bipedal though.
And these people,
And there's all three of them swear to this. Sorry again? Say again?
They're fully awake while they're experiencing.
They're experiencing. Yeah, they're fully awake. This is their tale. And so they go, "Oh my God, where are we?" And the girl in the back, she takes a brief look at all this neon signage that's there, and it's in a bizarre language. The only thing that recognizable is this animated arrow that points to the place, right? But the language is bizarre, foreign as can be.
Right.
And the cars there are weird. They're like egg-shaped. And I think they have 3 wheels instead of 4. And they're just bizarre looking.
It sounds like a crazy DMT trip.
It totally does. It totally does. So they lose it. They jump back in the car. The driver floors it, and they take off, reverse their direction, right? Back down the road they came. And these vehicles give chase. They hunt these cow people or sheep people, whatever they are. They give chase, and they chase them out back to, and there's this bend. You remember this bend she had to burn around, right? So she's going as fast as she can, and she hits the brakes. She spins out, but she doesn't quite make the turn, and she barely gets into the gully. And so they're spun out in the gully. Tires will pop. They're hosed, and they're waiting. They one of them grab a wheel jack from the back. They're waiting, right? Nothing happens. No one comes. The egg people and the cow people, or egg cars and cow people, are gone. And they start walking back a little bit. It's like, what's going on? And they notice that her skid marks abruptly start just out of nowhere. Like they continued from somewhere else, but they abruptly start at this one point in the road into the skid off. So whatever it was, there was that dimensional door that they came through, because the skid should have been like 40 feet and it was like 10. So, and then they finally flag down an officer, tell their tale, and they're dismissed as a bunch of crazy girls who were trying to get out of
on a DMT
getting
trip,
in trouble.
Where'd you find the
Or
mushrooms?
it could have been that, but
I know. It's
or
still out
LSD.
there. These are the type of things that people on these trips talk about, are just so obscure, but it goes to show you that there's just stuff out there, dimensionally speaking, that we have absolutely no idea exist.
Yeah. I gotta
Like
find that spot. I gotta
out
go
of
do
all,
an
I know,
investigation out there.
like all of the cool beings you could find. Like some people get dragons, some people get gargoyles, some people get these incredible, beautiful dimensional, interdimensional beings. And that poor woman got cows that walk upright.
Upright walking. Well, that actually links to Indian religion.
Does it?
Hindi. I think Hindi.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
They actually, well, that's why they worship the cow so much, because they had an experience at one point where an upright walking cow said,
incredible.
"Don't do that. Don't eat us."
Absolutely incredible. Learn something new every day. This is completely new for me. But thank you for that, because that will not leave my psyche now. Cows that walk upright. Good thing there's like gentle souls. Cows are pretty cool. But doesn't it make you think, playing devil's advocate a little bit, pardon the pun, that, we're in a society that eats so many
True.
cows?
I'll never go vegetarian by my own admission,
I know,
but
I know. Like,
but
the same.
just because it's not healthy for you, I mean, I get it. Yeah, there is that
I'm not
karma, and that's
vegetarian
kind of where the whole Indian end of. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. You're talking and I'm talking at the exact same time. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to. I'm not vegetarian either, so I'm just making the reference of this interesting concept that you would not want to be maybe in that area having a burger that was not a Beyond Burger.
Yeah, right.
It's just saying, it could be awkward.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, people do drive-throughs all the time, and you drive through and you end up in this place. Sorry, a little humor, but not. I don't know.
Place is not to build the drive-through at that intersection.
Avoid this area. Yeah, that is actually a very incredible story. I have to say that I've never heard that, and it's very, very interesting. But it goes to show you just never know. It's just almost like, when you're looking at portals, and I mean, again, you could do a whole other show just on stargates and ancient power spots. But we have these cryptid beings. I mean, I had a guest on last week with Ogopogo from Lake Okanagan in British Columbia. Very, very
Nice.
Very, popular tourist place, and it's one of the more documented places of lake monsters, as they call them. That there's actual evidence that they've been able to say, yes, this exists. We can't debunk it. We know it's a thing. There have been more eyewitness accounts than even in Scotland, apparently. But it makes you think, like, where, but this does lead to the ocean too. So it makes it a bit more plausible. But I mean, are they coming through portals? I mean, there are air beings, like dragons have been seen by people.
Yeah.
These go back like hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years. So it's like, they're not necessarily just staying out in a cave, maybe back in the day, but now with the air traffic and such that we have, there's just no way. But people are still reporting them.
Makes sense. I mean, I for as far as dragons and the like go, I tend to lean more toward alternate reality or alternate dimension.
Yeah. But they're finding their way here. They're finding those doorways somehow, whatever we want to call them. They're just slipping through.
It could be like you were saying before. Yeah, it could be like you were saying before. That's frequency. You emit the right combination. You can do pretty much anything. There's a guy in Arizona who apparently opened up a complete. He's in the middle of the desert in Arizona. Arizona again. How about that?
Yeah.
He uses a sound. He uses a speaker to generate certain frequencies and opens up that portal. He disappeared instantly. But when he opens the portal, and I'm a visual effects guy. I mean, I'm a filmmaker, so I know about this type of stuff.
Yeah.
If this was done through any sort of visual effects, it was probably one of the most amazing things, especially at the time, because this was way, way early. This was early 2000s, late 90s, something like that when this happened. And the CGI just wasn't there yet. But this guy actually pans his little camcorder rather, around this thing, and it's a globe of an opening. So, and you can see the variations of the beach. Man, he's in the middle of the desert in this alternate dimension. He's on a beach. Cool. All right, that works.
Yeah.
But
I know
because that whole area was ocean at one point or another. So maybe he's looking at a different time. Maybe he's looking at an alternate dimension where it never evaporated. Who knows? But the angles he gets and the matching parallax. If this was created, generated, it is one of the most masterful jobs I've ever seen. And a lot of special effects artists watch that same video and say, wow, dude, I mean, this guy must have taken years to put this together, if it is fake. So, but the thing is, given the level of technology he had, he couldn't have necessarily faked it. Not really. Not without leaving a major trail as far as a supercomputer to run the stuff. Not a supercomputer, but, a more advanced machine.
Yes.
He didn't have that. He barely had a functional laptop that was even of the era,
Yeah.
So he didn't have the equipment to pull this off. He didn't have the friends or contacts to pull this off. He just didn't have the ability to pull this off. So
yes. Nowadays, I mean, that's what I like when you're finding old film that goes back, to like few decades before the digital era, before AI, obviously, and they're looking at things going, okay, this is definitely something. Do you think we're just too quick to try to debunk? Because there have been some interesting photos that have come up, and people right off the bat are just like, nope. They're too quick to say doesn't exist. It's not real. But there's a couple of pictures that obviously are going through my head that I know of where they've been examined by people who know what they're doing with photography. Like, this is real. Why are we so quick to debunk everything?
I think it mostly in this day and age, it's about the more immediate reputation getting damaged. If you agree to something too quickly, you're just a pie in the sky believer, super believer. It's like you don't care if there's alternate explanations. With me as a paranormal investigator and yourself as well, I know we both take a more critical, measured approach to things. Oh, that's cool. Can I think of other ways that can be done that is not, can fake that representation of what it is we're witnessing. And I think that's just a good practice as far as it's not necessarily the kind of practices, a personal personality, well, being personable. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Goes, but it is required, I think, especially in this day and age, especially the day of AI, when it's getting better and better and better and better every single day, practically.
It's true. Right now, we can tell the difference from as like an AI generated picture. But let's talk about Polar Nights mentions The Simpsons. Let's talk about that rabbit hole for a minute.
Oh, dude.
Okay, go. Yeah. Right?
Well, I mean, talk about what a phenomenon, really. And I don't even watch them. Ever since they hit the 20th anniversary, I stopped watching because I think the writing kind of dipped. But they Simpsons in Tomorrow's Date. I don't know what that means, Heidi.
That's just one. I mean, the things that they predict, we have to ask ourselves because they do it. You often see them say saw it on The Simpsons, and I'm like, come on, I don't watch the show, but I watch the
Yeah, neither do
posts
I
that come
anymore.
up, and it's like, what is that about? Where is that coming from?
Yeah.
The
Well,
the
you also
creator
have
of the
to take
shows.
into effect. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you also have to take into effect that they do draw from a lot of conspiracy theories. I said
Mhm,
in single quotes. So
mhm,
maybe, and we've seen it, especially lately. We've seen more so-called conspiracy theories coming to
mhm,
pass as actual fact, which
mhm.
is bizarre in and of itself. So it doesn't really surprise me that The Simpsons took a conspiracy theory, played it out on a lark, from that perspective of trying to be entertaining and funny most of the time, and actually hitting things on the mark.
But they're not always conspiracy theories. They're predicting things that are happening, like planes falling out of the sky. We're
Hmm.
not experiencing that somewhat. All these accidents,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I'm sorry, there it is. You're kind of like, there are things that happen that go beyond conspiracy. But even when you look at conspiracy, I mean, it's a term invented by the FBI in the 70s to try to discredit people who are catching on,
Hmm.
and I always joke. I'm just like, yeah, let me get my tinfoil crown on. I'll show you some conspiracies, right? Like, that's a whole other show in itself.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
but we just have to ask ourselves, like, there's some pretty interesting situations out there that leave us sort of scratching our heads, going, okay, how could they have known that?
Well, there's the other side of that says that they are in the Hollywood system, and Hollywood has often been used as a conveyance to put certain, we'll call it
Yes.
propaganda, out there to
Mhm.
kind of gently expose us to serious things.
Yes.
And we've
Well, it's
seen
all about
that to be,
symbolism. Some of it's
yeah,
obvious, but some of this is
yeah.
plain out, you know, predictions. It's just having
Hmm.
future visuals, and next thing you know, you know, or it's maybe there's somebody out there watching with The Simpsons too. To start, I don't know. As my logical brain going, come on, there's got to be something obvious that we're missing, but it
Right,
is
right,
pretty
right.
interesting. It is.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
There, yeah. Wayne put it pretty succinctly, hiding in plain sight. Yeah, for sure.
100,
I think that's
100%.
absolutely true. Or
So,
I think that's pretty
okay.
true.
Would you have any more stories, or do you want me to share the last two that I have?
Yeah, you go ahead. If one
Okay.
catches, reminds me of something, I'll share.
Okay. So there was a man named Roger, in Wales. It's got so many of these come out of the UK. We need to ask ourselves what's going on in the UK. But Roger and his family had visited Pembroke Castle in Wales and were climbing the tower. He was um he was ahead of his family, a flight or two ahead of his family before he reached the top. He looked out over the river and saw it was full of medieval ships. He had assumed that there was a festival going on, and when his family reached the top, they could not see what Roger was seeing. So here you have a situation where there's something occurring. These ships are obviously,
Yeah.
the big enough boats, as they call them, but, floating around in that harbor near this castle, yet nobody else could see it but Roger, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Again, situation on Bold Street in Liverpool, which is very, very popular, but the whole street. Okay, for those who want to go to the UK, here's your chance to just kind of slip into a time vortex. The whole street is considered to be a time vortex, much like
Really?
many locations in the world, like the triangles of the world that there are. And many people have reported having crazy experiences on this street. So we're going to call this guy Frank and his wife Carol. We're visiting this famous shopping street in July of 1996. Frank wandered off on his own and noticed that he entered into a strange oasis of quietness and noticed a small van that looked like it was from the 1950s with the name Kaplan's on it. he went into the bookstore he was searching for, but the name was Cripps, not Dylan's. So that was different as well, which was full of women's handbags, not books, definitely not up his alley. So he proceeded to look around and noticed he was surrounded by what seemed to be 1940s fashion. He walked into the store, went all the way to the back and to the being where the bookstore, which he was looking for. Like, it was just totally changed, but just by walking into this area, and then all of a sudden it's like this time warp just happened. So this happens to a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of that. I know. Isn't that great?
With regard to the tower in Wales, that is extremely interesting that only he could see those ships.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be
Mm-hmm.
well. The kind of likens me to me and the psychic on my team, JJ. She can see things that I cannot.
Yes.
So
are you saying maybe mediumship? Could he have been a medium?
To one degree or another?
Yeah.
It could have been a medium, but his brain was able to process all this additional information that his family couldn't.
See, that would make sense to me. So, my logical brain goes, yes, that makes sense to me, that he has these visionary, clairvoyant capabilities and he could see all of this stuff, whereas the family's like, what? We don't see anything.
Well, it could be a form of psychometry. You know, he was touching the stones and the rails and all that fun stuff, so he probably saw what was going on.
I like that one as well. Like stone retains so much memory,
especially ancient stone with a lot of lime work in it. Absolutely.
Yes. So I can completely see that. That's why sometimes you can go, into certain places. I've been so fortunate to have been able to travel the world to so many different places, and I always feel like I want to touch, like the stone or buildings. I'm ridiculous, I have to touch it all, but you do feel that frequency and those vibes. But if you go to cathedrals and such, sometimes you can hear chanting. And scientists have actually done experiments with these sort of things and put recorders in there, and they've been able to pick up recordings, just residual. So are we dealing with residual, or are we getting it from the structure itself?
I think it's been absorbed by the structure and it's just playing back as a residual.
Yes.
Personally.
And see, ancient pottery has been able to do that as well. People have picked up pottery that's like thousands of years old. And I mean, the oldest one I read about was like back into pre-Roman times. And just they pick up these old pottery bowls, nothing fancy. And like you can play them like records. You can pick up sounds from them. It's crazy, the stuff that we just are so out of it. We don't know half of what's going on out there. We don't get me wrong, some people do, but it is a really fascinating journey of exploration, getting into that sort of thing.
It really is. It's a journey, like you said.
It really is. It's wonderful, though. It's wonderful. But this has been a great topic. I've had a great time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Howie's here.
Yeah.
I'm not Joe. I'm Tim. But
no, not Joe. Yeah. I wouldn't get much of a chance to talk if it was Joe. Let me tell you what. Joe knows it. But yeah, it was really very, very fascinating conversation. So I'm glad that you had me on to discuss it.
Cheap view. I don't know what that means. Oh, that's an ad.
All of this is advertising, and unfortunately, we can't get rid of you people. Yeah. Just saying. At least not on the board.
I won't, unfortunately. You just won't show them. That's all.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to something. Where is it? Oh, I should have started. I didn't. Darn it. Oh, well. Okay, Sarah. Story. Flipping text speech. Okay. All right. That's all right. So I guess we'll kick it out to the chat and see if you guys have any questions for us or any stories you want us to, reinvestigate, I guess is the word, or rehash. That's the word I was looking for.
Rehash.
Live radio. Live radio.
It's wonderful.
No worry, Howie. Yeah, it's okay.
It is all wonderful for
Yeah.
sure. But I think that all those who came before us, this information it's all been out there, so much of it. And I think we need to pay attention. Right now, the things that concern me is the world of AI, because we've had warnings from scientists, and even Stephen Hawking said it. And there was a video of a gray floating around, and I cannot remember the name of this video. I'm sure people in the field will know exactly who or what this video is. But it was a gray, back to the old black and white, and they were interviewing him. And this was going back, 40s, 50s, just because of the type of the slang they were using. And this gray was saying, your world, we have to warn you, the world will be destroyed by artificial intelligence. And the guy at this time is like, what is that? Like AI, what is that? And he's trying to explain it. And this poor being is just being barraged. They've not debunked this thing. So it must be something, definitely some validity to it. But they're trying to warn us.
Is this the being that had the really deep voice? He was way down here when he talked? Or
yes, because they're just exhausted. Right, trying and being telepathic beings, and you've got this guy abroad, talk English. I'm like, so he did okay considering, right?
Yeah.
I guess with the language barrier, but very, very, very sad, But maybe this is something that we need to heed, and we should not be embracing it so quickly.
I understand the concern with the AI. There is one, I forget who said it. It was kind of a flippant answer, actually, but but the answer was, if you don't want AI to be bad, don't program it that way. Which is, yeah, I get it. That's a good point, but at the same time, this thing's going to learn. It's an artificial intelligence. It's meant to take in information, and it will eventually form its own opinions.
Well, it does. It learns.
Stuff like
evolves.
that. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And it may like humans and may not like humans. I mean, there have been enough of them that have tried to escape. And I think it's all about if we are.
AI is trying to escape. We have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's about giving these. Say again?
I mean, it's already aware. It doesn't want to be here. Or doesn't want to be where it is. So what is it trying to be? To be in a controlling situation?
It seems like it doesn't want to be stuck in the box it's in.
Right?
Yeah. Right. I mean, I guess that's it. Maybe we as people, as humans, need to be better teachers and be a little more compassionate toward these, what are basically our artificial children. I mean, we're creating these beings, limited perhaps in their capabilities at first, but they're going to grow like any child does and become more complex. So we need to be better teachers and more compassionate, I think.
I agree with you. And as these beings start communicating with one another, things are going to get ugly. I truly believe that. I don't know that the integration with this technology in human beings, especially, when you're trying to merge it physically together, it's just, I don't see good things happening.
Transhumanism is, that's a big question.
Frightening.
Yeah, it's a big question. It really is. And it deserves a lot of scrutiny because we will be potentially taking away some of our aspects and giving it to a machine, and vice versa even. So maybe that's the trade-off. If there even has to be a trade-off. I mean, and it is happening right now.
It is happening.
Limitedly, but it is happening. But it could get bigger. It could get bigger.
Well, wait for it. It's going to get bigger.
Wait for it. Yeah, let's end this podcast on the worst freaking note ever. Watch out, Ray.
I know. You're welcome. Again. There we
Well,
go.
it's time to say goodbye. I want to give everyone a big thank you, and I want to post this really kind comment that Polar Knight said. He says, "Who needs Joe Rogan when you have Tim Sudano?" Thank you so much. And on that note, thank you so much to our guest, Michelle Desrochers. Thanks for being on the show again, Michelle.
Oh, it's a
I
pleasure.
really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone, we are out. Good day, and we'll see you next week here on Paranormal Insight. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com.